Hi, hello and welcome from wherever you join me today. Yes, it's me again, Jim Black from Three Hats Stage Media Channel, trying to bring entertaining content media to all the world's stages. This is a Pause for Thought edition where I review one of my favourite movies and see what messages we can take from it and how we could use those insights in today's busy lives. All the movies come from a book or screenplay, have a great cast and a fantastic soundtrack. As you can see from the lightbox just to my side, today's movie is no exception. It's Little Voice from 1998. It's based on the musical by Jim Cartwright, The Rise and Fall of Little Voice. And the screenplay is done by Mark Herman. He's also responsible for The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas, Hope Springs and Brassed Off, to name but a few. There's an all-star cast. You've got Jane Horrocks. She's the lead role as LV. You'll know her from Sunshine on Leith, a recent review of mine, as well as Absolutely Fabulous, and she's the voice of Babs in Chicken Run. And a source close to me tells me Chicken Run 2 is being thought of at this very minute. Brenda Blethyn. She plays LV's mum, Mary Hoff. And you'll know her, if you watch TV drama, as Vera, and there's been over 40 of those so far. She was also in a TV series of War and Peace that came out not long ago. You've got Michael Caine. He plays Ray Say, and how many movies has he been in? What would be your favourites? Alfie, Cider House Rules, Get Carter, Kingsman. There's Ewan McGregor. He plays Billy. And he was in Christopher Robin, another recent review of mine, as well as Star Wars, Trainspotting, Men That Stare at Goats, and of course Big Fish. And then there's Jim Broadbent. He plays Mr. Boo. And he's been in things such as Hot Fuzz, The Borrowers, and he was also in the series War and Peace. So I ask, is it right? If you've got a little voice, should it be heard? And if so, why are you keeping it quiet? Let's get into this review and take a look at the movie. Do you know, in life, you'll find that there's big voices and little voices. There's a reason for both of those types. If you take the big voice, for example, it's somebody that likes being loud, likes being heard. But sometimes nobody's listening, which is why they're being loud. Little voices, however, are just quiet people, sometimes, but sometimes they're being suppressed and maybe even being bullied, which is why they've got that small voice, because nobody will ever listen to them, especially those that should be listening. LV has a little voice, and we're going to find out why she's so quiet. We're going to see the things that affect her, both now and in the past, and we're going to follow her journey as that voice starts to become bigger. Let's get into the plot and find out. Another one of my favourite movies, and I do say that about rather a lot. This is set in a seaside town where not much happens out of season. It's a typical town, somewhere up north, and it runs on fishing and tourism. It's got all the holiday camps, fish and chips, stuff like that. We start in an old record shop called Hoff Records. It's where Mari Hoff lives with her daughter LV. LV's father passed away quite a few years ago, and LV has become quite reclusive and withdrawn. And this is because she's got a bullying mother who shouts at her all the time in a very big voice. LV hardly says a word. She nods occasionally. She spends most of her time in a room listening to old records that her dad collected. They're all the old classics like Shirley Bassey, Marilyn Monroe, Judy Garland, all those sort of things, Ethel Merman. But when she puts those records on, LV can be that person that she's always wanted to be. A picture of her father is on the bedroom wall, and when LV opens her mouth to sing, she sings like one of the people that she's listening to. Mari, however, is a different person. She's lost her way somewhat. She's a woman that likes a lot of men because she just can't find the right one, even though she may have had him right at the start. All she's looking for is a meal ticket to keep her going forever. She spends a lot of time at the local club, which is run by Mr. Boo, and it's there she meets Ray. He's an agent, a scout. He's always on the lookout for new acts, and you can imagine the type of acts that he gets. The inappropriate ones, the ones that aren't very good, And those that you see at those sort of holiday camps where you think, what on earth is that? But give those actors their credit. They're all creative people and they're just trying to do a bit for what they want to do. Like I said, LV, once she puts her records on and starts singing, she sounds like Judy Garland, Marilyn Monroe, Shirley Bassey. And when Ray comes back to the house with Mari, he hears her singing. And obviously something goes off in his head that thinks, there's a possible act. But not because he wants to help her, because he wants to exploit her, because he's one of those type of men. The next morning, he has a chat with LV down in the kitchen, which is very difficult because she doesn't like chatting half the time. You know, she's little voice after all. He tells her about the industry and hopes that she will start singing for him. The next night, he brings Mr. Boo back, says, you've got to listen to this voice. This is an act we can all make a lot of money on. And I've just said it, all make a lot of money on. Nothing to do with the act. Exploitation at its worst. Mr. Boo leaves because LV won't sing. And as he's leaving, guess what happens? LV starts to sing because she looks at her dad, the photograph, and she bursts into song because it makes her happy when she sees his face. He hears her, obviously. They get her to the club the next night and it fails completely. Ray, however, won't give up. And Mari, she wants to know what it's all about. After all, LV, what is she? She's just a girl, quiet, you know, nothing at all, complete waste of space. But then she has bullied her for a very long time, so that's what she would think. Ray convinces LV to do one concert. And if she did one concert, that would all it would be. She agrees, so Ray goes to town, gets an orchestra, does the club up with lights, gets lots of people there, nice little tables for them to sit at, and LV performs like she's never performed before. She goes down a storm. Everybody loves her. Standing ovation at the end. A record agent, a promoter from down south, hears her voice when the phone is held up for him to listen. He agrees to come up the next night and LV will perform, he'll sign her, and everybody will make lots of money. There's a hate-hate relationship here between LV and her mum. But it's softened because Billy, the telephone engineer that's fitted the new telephone to the Hoff Records store, has started to fall for LV. Billy's very similar to LV in many ways. He's reclusive, he's isolated, he's lonely. He's bullied by his boss at work, and that's not a good thing to be. He engulfs himself in looking after pigeons, which is a lot of people's fancy. He races them, he exercises them, and it's a place where he's happy, very similar to LV when she's singing. Then we get to the night of the concert, and LV does not want to do it. She promised once, she's done once, and she will not do it. This is where it gets quite sad. Her mum shouts at her a lot, Ray comes and shouts at her a lot, everybody shouts at her a lot. And it's just not right. You know, bullying is bad at the best of times. But to tell people those sort of things, to make them do things that you want, it just won't work. You need to be kind, sympathetic, and honest with them at the end of the day. So the spoiler alarms are starting to go. What is going to happen next? It's going to be very difficult not to explain a few bits here. So I'm going to try and explain them without giving the end away, because I don't like the plot endings, because you've got to find out by watching the movie. After Ray has tried to get her to come and do that gig, he falls down the stairs. I think he's helped on his way because LV gets in the way and knocks him down. He doesn't hurt himself apart from his pride. As he stumbles out the shop, he bumps into some things and there's a fire. But what could happen there? LV's trapped. Nobody knows about the fire, apart from Billy. And Billy's got one of those vans with one of those cranes on the back. He does rescue her, but that's not a plot spoiler because you don't know what's going to happen after that. What's going to happen to Mari? What's going to happen to Ray? What's going to happen to Mr. Boo? And what's going to happen between LV and Billy? Like I said, watch the movie and find out. It really is a good ending. It's well acted and there's some serious issues in this movie. Some things we all deal with each and every day. Remember, if you're shouting, why are you shouting? Is it because you can't be heard? Is it because you're a bully? Is it because of something else? And if you're a very quiet person, is it because you just want to sit there and read and not be disturbed? Or are you being suppressed so your voice can't come out? Kindness goes a long way, understanding and listening. Try and do it each and every day and make the world a better place. So to the trivia. Hoff Records is on Berwick Terrace, and the nightclub Mr Booze is Wallis's Clayton Holiday Centre, both in Scarborough, but both no longer here. They've been knocked down and turned into something else. Jane Horrocks sang all her own songs in this movie. It's a great performance on all accounts. And her real name in the movie is Laura. Bet you didn't know that. In a chat between Ray and LV in the kitchen the morning after he hears the voice, he talks to her about different acts, and they mention Matt Monro. He says that he was the singing bus conductor. Matt Monro was actually a bus driver, but I suppose it's artistic licence to have a conductor walking down a bus serenading people. The final bit of trivia I've got for you is Ray's car. It's a 1972 Delta 88 Oldsmobile convertible, and not a Chevy, as Mari refers to it when she's having breakfast in the cafe. The music in this movie is old school. It's the best. It's standard ballads, sang by the artists when you're listening to the record player, and also Jane Horrocks, Shirley Bassey, Frank Sinatra, Marilyn Monroe, Ethel Merman, to name but a few. And the soundtrack is one of my favourites, which is why I've downloaded it. I hope you've enjoyed this movie review. If you want to know where my thoughts and inspirations come from, please click on the links in the bio below and they'll take you for a closer look. If you want to subscribe to our channel, please do so and join our community. Strike the bell and that will let you know when we upload again, and comments are always welcome. Please leave them below and I'll get back to you as and when I can. I've been Jim Black for the Three Hats Stage Media channel for this edition of Pause for Thought. See you again soon.